Hi, you guys. So I'm going to be going ahead and going over the quiz study guide and giving you guys some tips and stuff for the quiz so that you are ready for our quiz on Monday. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. We're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about the questions that you guys see on your study and then just like a few other pointers that I want to give you guys before you guys get into the quiz on Monday. So here is what we have so far. So our first part is about conversion and measurement. For the most part for the quiz, if you guys are able to convert pretty well, you guys should be fine. But I'm going to give you guys some tips about how to go ahead and how to go about this process because I know that a few people might have a little bit of trouble with it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a little bit of time and go over it. So first things first, there are our scales of measurement. I'd drinking chocolate milk. Okay, so this is kind of like our measurement scale. So this right here goes ahead and this stands for kilo, hecto, deca, deci, centi, and milli. Right, so those are our prefixes for each of those things. The next thing that you guys have to know is that each of these prefixes have a value that is attached to them, right? So kilo is 1,000, hecto is 100, deca is 10, right? And then when you get on the other side, it's 0.10 or 1 over 10, right? Whichever way, it's the same thing. It's just a decimal point. This is 0.1, so that's 1 over 100. And this is 0.001, which is 1 over 1,000. So what happens is that you first have to find your starting and your ending point. But before I go ahead and before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tell you guys what goes in this box. So this box is your base units. Your base units in general are going to be liters, and that is represented by L, right? Meters, which is represented by M, right? And grams, which is a G. Just so you guys know, this right here is volume, right? This right here is length, and this right here is mass. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. And then obviously you guys have temperature and all of that. So I'm going to review temperature with you guys a little bit towards the end, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go through this first. Okay, so next thing, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started with our problem. So you guys will see that we have, we're going to have 12 centimeters and we're going to go to millimeters. So what we do is that we go ahead and we find centimeters on here, and this is going to be our centimeters, right? And then we're going to go to millimeters. And so we go ahead and we move the decimal point one spot over, right? So we go ahead and we take our number 12, and we have to remember that all of those things have a decimal point. And then we go ahead and we move it one spot over. And then when we move it one spot over, we get 120 millimeters, right? So that is what we do on there. So for our next problem, we have 0.45 kilometers to meters, right? So same thing. I find my kilos, which is 1,000, and then I'm going to go all the way down to meters. So I go, 1, 2, 3, right? So 1, 2, and 3, right? And I get all the way down to meters. And then, so I'm going to do the same thing with the number that they give me. So I go 0.45. Then I'm going to go 1, 2, and 3. So I go ahead and I add a 0 in that spot. And so what I get is 450 meters on there. Okay. So our next problem, I'll go ahead and I'll go milliliters to liters. I'm going to skip one. Actually, two. Next one we're going to do is 7,000 milliliters to liters, right? So I have milliliters here, and then I'm going to have my liters, right, which is right over here. So I go ahead and I move it over. So I go 1, 2, and 3, right? So then I write my 7,000. I put my decimal point at the end, right? Then I go 1, 2, and 3, right? And I'll see that it is 7 liters, right? So that is what I get on there. One last note on there, just make sure that you guys know like what things measure what. So make sure that you know that temperature is degrees Celsius or Kelvin, which is represented by a K. Length, like I said earlier, is meters, right? Volume is liters, and then what is it? Volume, mass. Mass is in grams. So just kind of know those different suffixes so that you guys know that. Okay, so next thing is your calorie. So calorie is going to be your unit of energy. Okay, so a calorie is a unit of energy. The main thing that you guys do have to know about calories is that it pretty much is the amount that you guys are going ahead and that what you burn in a certain amount of time, because calories take a while to burn, right? And we'll kind of talk about this, but basically you guys need to know that it's a unit of energy and it's how much energy there is. Energy there is. So that's the main thing about a calorie, is that you guys have to know that calorie is a unit of energy, right? It's not any of the other stuff. It's a unit of energy. Okay. Next thing. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at this graduated cylinder, and we're going to talk about how much is in this container. So first and foremost, you guys do have to remember that when you guys are looking at a graduated cylinder or like a beaker, you guys are looking for the meniscus, and the meniscus is the lowest point in the water. So you always measure the lowest point, right? So the lowest point is a thing that you guys are going to be measuring, right? And then you guys need to go ahead and you guys need to figure out where on this point there is. Okay, so we have 60, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So each of these things are about 0.1. So I go 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67. So I see that 67 millimeters for sure, right? I do have to add a point of uncertainty though, because I'm going ahead and I'm looking at this, right? And I'm looking at this and I'm like, it's like 67.1 maybe milliliters, right? And this is your point of uncertainty. And what that means is that you guys are going ahead and you guys are giving us like a really good guess on what the last decimal point would be. So that is what you guys need to know about that. It's like pretty much a good guess on your decimal. Okay, so that is that on there. I already talked about that. Okay, so when you guys are using a ruler, same thing. The main thing about the ruler is that you start from 0. As long as you guys start from 0, you guys are good. Make sure that you guys start from 0 and that you guys are checking units. If you guys don't check units, that'll sometimes end you up with like the wrong measurements. So really just make a really effort to go ahead and to double check some of those things. So prefixes are already mentioned up here. So kilo, hecta, deca, deci, centi, and milli. Those are pretty much your prefixes that you guys need to know. On the quiz, what you guys will see is that you guys will see that there is a couple of them that you don't know, but really just check for the ones that you know and check if they're in order. Okay, so next part, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to talk about this stuff, rules of first significant figures.